Hello all. Moving forward, I have decided that I'm going to start putting the author shoutouts at the beginning of the videos because that'll just make it easier for anybody that's listening. Today we have a story from Jeremy the Tulpa, or Jeremy Thompson. In the description you will find links to his Amazon page, as well as his Goodreads page, as well as the link to this story and to their account. I believe it's going to be a real treat today. The story seems incredibly entertaining. But without further ado, let's get started with I don't care if the Mirthful Maidens sounds like the title of a 1920s-Era Smut film. Those chicks are horrifying. Or the real title, I don't care if the Mirthful Maidens sounds like the title of a 1920s-Era softcore porn film. Those bitches are horrifying. So without further ado, let's get started. When I was still in college, and drinking everything alcoholic anytime I could, I developed a bad case of the shakes. Reaching for an inebriant, after even 8 hours without one, my hand would quiver as if caught in its own private earthquake. Post-graduation, pre-marriage, pre-fatherhood, I moved back in with my parents for a time while pretending to look for a decent job. I drained every liquor bottle in their cupboards within a week, then spent my every last cent on cheapo booze. When they realized what a lush I'd become, Mom and Dad locked me in their basement for 2 weeks, with only bread and water to live on. I survived delirium tremens and acute boredom, and have been sober for nearly 15 years since. My college years are a blur to me now. It's a miracle I even graduated. The friends I acquired and shed, the parties I attended, the women I bed and later assumed I'd hardly pleasured, all seem painted fog now unraveling, some ghost me's fading memories. Thus I'm somewhat surprised to see my hands shaking just as alarmingly as they did in the grips of my college alcoholism, as they hover over my MacBook's keyboard, waiting for my brain to tell them what to type next. Of course, I must start with Morty. Morty Greenblatt was forced on me in my childhood as a sort of arranged friendship. His parents were good friends of mine and lived just 2 blocks away, so carpools and get-togethers forced us to interact whether we wished to or not. We were in the same grade and often shared the same classroom. Devoid of blood siblings, we became nearly brothers. We even started to look alike. As elementary school segued to middle school, then high school, I watched Morty gain confidence with our peers. Jealous and awkward at parties, I tried to look elsewhere as he sucked face with girls I'd fantasized about. Everywhere we went, he amassed friends while I faded into the background. When I made plans for college, Morty announced that he'd be taking a year off to travel around the world and get a better idea of his place in it. We bro-hugged goodbye and then fell out of touch. Alcoholism seized me and my social awkwardness withered. Post-graduation, after I sobered up, I began freelance copywriting, churning out SEO content as fast as I could. I earned enough to land my own apartment. Gina Stoneman worked at the Ralphs down the street. We began dating, then married. Then our twin daughters, Ken and Casey, were born. I became a marketing manager for Stolid Staffing Solutions and moved us into a nice 2-story home in suburbia. While I was becoming a somewhat respectable citizen, attaining love and financial security, the only time I interacted with Morty was when we commented on each other's social media posts with dumb emojis. So imagine my surprise when he showed up on my doorstep one day without warning. "I got your address from your parents," he said half apologetically, after summoning me with a thrice-rung doorbell one Sunday evening. My wife was in the kitchen, washing dishes, and my daughters, 12 years old at the time, were likely in their rooms with their phones glued to their faces. Morty moved as if to hug me, then shake my hand, but instead settled on a shoulder slap. "It's been a long time, man," he added, as I squinted at him as if he was a mirage. Hey, Morty," I eventually said. If not for his occasional Instagram selfies, I'd have had no idea that this was the guy I'd grown up with. He'd bleached his hair, grown a goatee, and embraced tattoos and piercings to the utmost degree. He dressed as if he was at a Lakers game and reeked of marijuana. The shade of his eyes attested to its strength. Can I come in for a second? Let's catch up. Crack open a few brewskis. Oh, that's right. You're sober. I remember that essay you posted. Got any soda around? My mouth's dry as hell. Well, what could I do but usher him into the living room? Gina, I called. We've got a visitor. Could you fetch us a couple Pepsis? Gina did as requested, introduced herself to Morty, then returned to her dishwashing. Exiting the room, she gave me a loaded look which read, "What the hell is this loser doing here?" Strained conviviality had my old friend and me exchanging, "Hey, remember when?" reminiscence. Punctuating our shared history, our laughter rang hollow. Then we segued to our current circumstances. Morty had become a drywaller, I learned, though I'd surely already read that on social media, then forgotten it. He bounced between San Diego and Los Angeles to attend various concerts, and took his parents out to breakfast every other Saturday morning. Honestly, 20 minutes into our convo, I was mentally praying for him to leave. Whatever had bound us together in our youth had long since dissolved, and I was bored beyond belief. Then Morty finally revealed what was on his mind. "Hey man," he said, "it's been cool catching up with you and all, but I really came here for some advice. I mean, out of everyone I've known, you seem the best situated. Wife and kids, a good job, and look at that body. I bet you get your gym time in, don't you?" "When I can." Okay. And you gave up drinking too. Like, how can you stand to be around people? But that's not what I'm getting at. It's these women I keep seeing. These Mirthful Maidens." Mirthful Maidens? What's that, some kind of folk music group? Nah, man, check this out. He pulled his phone from his pocket and summoned an image to its screen. Holding it out for my inspection, he said, "My Uncle Benny used to collect vintage magazines. Sometimes I'd look through them. This was one of his favorites." "Wink?" I asked, reading the magazine's cover. Its pin-up art, credited to Peter Driven, depicted a grinning, black-haired beauty reclining in high heels, stockings, and undergarments. Just above her head were the words, "Merry Mirthful Maidens." "Yeah, man, wink." "Never heard of it." "Who gives a shit? Sorry, but listen, man. The mag doesn't matter. I'm just saying that these chicks I'm seeing all look like the broad on the cover. Long legs, slim waist, perky tits, toothy smiles, like ultra sex pot Lois Lanes. They could be sisters or something, or share the same plastic surgeon, or maybe both. See what I'm getting at?" "Well, damn. Congratulations. How many of them are there?" To be single again." The walls were thin in our house. Instantly, I regretted my last sentence. Gina was in the kitchen, where the knives are. How could I have been so stupid? "Nah, man," said Morty. "This ain't about pussy. Something's wrong with these women. I don't think they're human." Shaking my head, I replied, "Well, if they're trying to get your attention, there must be something wrong with them." "Crack all the jokes you want, homie. But don't do it around these chicks. I mean, you should hear how they laugh. It's like they all swallowed harmonicas or something. Like they got reeds in their throats, and I swear to God, man, they're always laughing. Sometimes, when they're in the corner of my vision, their mouths open too wide like snakes." "Dude, you reek of weed, Morty," I said. are you on harder drugs too? Has anyone else seen these chicks? Have you tried photographing one? Ignoring these questions, Morty said, I first saw them at a Crystal Stilts concert in New York City. Back in 2012, right before the band played, I heard this strange noise behind me. Turning, I saw 3 of the sexiest women I've ever seen in person. They were all dressed in black leather, wearing black lipstick. All were staring at me, laughing their weird-ass laugh. My skin really started to crawl, man. Then Crystal Stilts played one of the greatest post-punk sets I've ever seen, and I forgot about those bitches until I saw 4 more of them a few months later. In New York? Nah, man, Cancun. A couple of buddies and me went there to swoop on some spring-breaking bitches, get that prime pussy, you know, that young pussy. We were watching a wet t-shirt contest, staring at titties, salivating. Then I saw 4 Mirthful Maidens standing off to the side wearing old-fashioned black bikinis, laughing at me, man. I pointed them out to my homies Steve and Bill walked over to him trying to fuck one. They just kept laughing and laughing, and Bill came back and said they must be shrooming real hard. That night, Bill fell off our hotel balcony, or maybe was pushed, I don't know. Ruined the rest of the trip, that's for sure. Dude was dead as fuck. Of course, I felt obliged at that moment to say, I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, I bet you are, buddy. A real bleeding heart, that's what you are. But where was I? Sorry, I haven't been sleeping much lately. Give me a second. Okay, I'll say this. I've never seen the same Mirthful Maiden twice. Over the years I've seen, let me see, maybe at least a couple hundred, all with that wavy black hair, all with those perfect bodies that would give any straight dude a half chub if the chicks ever shut their fucking mouths. Always wearing black. They're never with boyfriends or any non-laughing friends. They're never alone. I never see more than 9 of them at once. Everyone seems to ignore them, but I don't know how they can. Those sounds they make, man, they're unhuman. Wow, this guy's really gone off the deep end, I thought. Listen, Morty, I said. I've been laughed at by women too. I know how small it can make you feel, how cruel it makes them seem. But you've met some nice ladies over the years too, haven't you? Why don't you focus on them? Because I'm fucking afraid, bro. It's not just out in public that I've seen the Mirthful Maidens. One night, just a few weeks ago, I woke up and saw 2 in the corner of my bedroom. I grabbed my cell phone and ran out of there and called the police. But of course, the chicks vanished by the time the pigs showed up. There were some in my parents' backyard the other day too. My mom and dad had no clue who they were, but weren't bothered by them. I shouted threats at the women, but they just kept laughing and laughing. Wow. I exhaled. This is some sort of joke, right? As if I couldn't see the fervor in his eyes, or the sweat on his forehead. No joke, man. I see him everywhere I go now. In the US and out of it, they're always looking at me, always laughing that weird-ass laugh. I've been half expecting a couple of them to walk downstairs as we're talking. Well, Morty, I said, I've never heard of such a thing before. I'll tell you what, though. Next time you see these Mirthful Maidens, call me, and we'll confront them together. How's that sound? Morty sighed. Better than nothing, I guess. You'll hear from me soon enough. After giving him my phone number, I showed him to the door and watched his departure. He pulled a joint from his pocket, sucked fire into it, and sauntered over to his car. Carefully, he checked its interior for boogie women before driving off. I felt someone touch my elbow and nearly shat my pants. But it was only Gina, making that face she makes when she's attempting to hide her anger. I heard every word you two said, she practically hissed. I don't care if you guys were friends way back when. Morty, whatever his last name is, sounds like a dangerous crackhead, and I don't want him near our daughters or me ever again. You stay away from him too. He'll probably attack some poor woman someday, and you'll be arrested as his accomplice if you're not careful." After a moment of consideration, I thought, "Sorry, Morty," then threw my arms around Gina and said, "Whatever you say, dear." I felt the tension flow from her, as her speech grew sardonic. "Jeez, I'm lucky that I didn't laugh around that asshole. He'd have accused me of being a Martian." I considered her graying hair and her plump figure, which never rebounded far back from its pregnancy weight all those years ago, and thought, fat chance. Then, feeling guilty, as if Gina had read my mind, I offered to rub her feet. Of course, Morty called me a few times after that, but I let him go straight to voicemail. He direct messaged me on social media, but I never wrote back. One time he returned to my house, but my wife answered the door and told him I wasn't home. When he asked when I'd return, she shouted, "Just get out of here, you psycho!" A few weeks after that, San Clemente beachgoers realized that the man they assumed was only sleeping on his Corona Extra beach towel was turning purplish blue, choking on his own vomit. Morty died there, on the sand, chock full of heroin and fentanyl, on an otherwise idyllic day. It was all over social media, with old classmates of ours and folks I'd never met coming out of the woodwork to praise Morty's many virtues and condemn opioid addiction. "My heart is open to anyone in crisis," some wrote. "Don't ever feel alone in your affliction." I wondered how they'd have reacted to that Mirthful Maidens story. Strangely enough, Gina demanded that I attend Morty's funeral. "But people might know that I said I'd help him, and I didn't," I protested. "They'll blame me for his overdose. I can't stand being yelled at." "Oh, grow up, you big baby," she countered. "It's bad enough that you didn't post anything on his Facebook wall. If people don't see you there, well, word gets around, doesn't it?" Naturally, she made no offer to accompany me. So the day came, half strangled by my new tie, feeling as if my toes were fusing together. So tight were my new dress shoes. I walked into a chapel, sneering at the sandals worn by a few mourners. I made my way to the funeral guest book and wrote my name. Clearly, lest anyone call me absent. Feeling as if I was being pointed out by old classmates I'd rather not connect with, I claimed some pew space, stared lapward, and twiddled my thumbs, waiting for the service to begin. Then, I became aware of a bizarre sort of sobbing. At least I assumed it to be such until I noticed 3 beautiful women in a pew across the aisle, dressed in identical, semi-formal black dresses. They leaned forward to make heavy eye contact with me, never closing their mouths. And indeed, their laughter sounded as if it was pouring out of harmonicas. The Mirthful Maidens, I thought, astounded. Still, no other mourner seemed troubled by them. As one funeral officiant or another stepped behind the pulpit and began blah blah blahing, and the Mirthful Maidens continued belching their bizarre laughter, I wondered if I was being pranked. Had Morty paid those women to act that way, then committed suicide? Was he even dead in his open casket? Or was he ready to spring up and shout, "Joke's on you"? Was everyone but me in on it? What else could I do but flee? And of course, when I told my wife about it that night, after nearly an hour of cunnilingus that only one of us enjoyed, she snickered. Oh my, is my big, strong, handsome man jumping at campfire stories? Does he need a kiss from his mama? Will that make you feel better? Gina kissed my forehead, then fell asleep. Listen, whoever's reading this, I know most people have never given a thought to the percentage of women who wear black, It's a very flattering color choice. Fashionable, elegant, mysterious, even slimming. The color fits nearly every occasion, every skin tone, and body shape, so there's really no way to avoid it when going out in public. Similarly, in a free society, people laugh when they please, even if what comes out of their mouths when they do is somewhat discordant. Not all vocal cords are the same. Some people laugh like Fran Drescher does, but please, believe me when I assure you that what flows from the throats of the Mirthful Maidens isn't human. So maybe this is some kind of "it follows" / smile kind of curse. Though rather than being the only one who can see the whatever the hell they really are, I'm just the only person who's bothered by them. To everyone else, it's perfectly normal to have gorgeous chicks dressed in black, laughing and laughing anywhere and everywhere all the time. A couple of months after Morty's funeral, I was at a steakhouse with my wife and daughters. It was my birthday, so I was allowed to gorge myself on a 14-ounce Oscar-style ribeye and a basket of fries, plus a couple of Pepsis to wash them down with, as my table mates nibbled at their salads. Just as I was preparing to broach the notion of dessert, a familiar sound caught my attention. There were 4 Mirthful Maidens in black V-neck dresses occupying a table to the right of us. Meeting my eyes, they laughed their strange laughter, with nothing on their tabletop other than their folded hands. "What's wrong, Daddy?" asked Kenna. "Why are you staring at those women?" "Do you know 'em or something?" asked Casey. "The Mirthful Maidens," I muttered. "They were stalking Morty, now they're following me." "Okay, that's enough soda for your father," said Gina, waving our waiter over. "Let's go home and give him his presents." To me, she whispered, "Don't you dare make a scene." On the drive home, I tried to redeem myself. "None of you thought those women were strange, huh? Just sitting there, laughing nonstop, eating and drinking nothing at a restaurant?" "They must have just arrived," said Gina. "Don't blame them for bad service." "Our service was fine, though. And didn't you hear their laughter? Humans don't make sounds like that. It was like something out of a nightmare." "God, Daddy, you're so cringe," said Casey. "Women are allowed to have fun in public without a man around, you know?" "Yeah, this isn't 1800s, chimed in Kenna. "You don't have to be frightened just because they're having fun." "That's telling them, girls," Gina commended. "Never let some Neanderthal try to put you in your place, not even Daddy." "That's not what I was..." You know what, forget it. If ever a man alone has won an argument against 3 ladies, I've yet to hear of it. Speaking of arguments, over the years I've noticed that whenever a female I know takes issue with another female and wishes to badmouth her, I'm supposed to echo that disparagement. What a bitch. Who does she think she is? Etc. But whensoever a woman gets on my bad side, and I speak ill of her to another lady, the lady I'm talking to always takes the other woman's side. "Consider her perspective," they tell me. "Every woman has had umpteen horrible encounters with horny, psychotic, walking boners. How is she supposed to know if you're a good guy or a bad guy?" Like suddenly, I'm Mr. Misogynist, out to undo women's suffrage and overturn Roe v. Wade just because I took umbrage when a drunk chick grabbed my glasses off my head and tried them on without asking, then dropped them when handing them back, then laughed at their cracked lenses. Do you know what I'm saying, fellas? So yeah, just like with Morty, the Mirthful Maidens have become a regular feature in my life, appearing with increased regularity. Never have I seen the same maiden twice. Never have they shut their damn mouths. I've seen them at the gym, on the street, and staring from the windows of passing vehicles. I've seen them in the background of old sitcoms, ravaging the laugh tracks. I've seen them on airplanes, seen them in my dreams, and of course, I've heard them too. Eventually, I started photographing them with my iPhone, pretending to be texting people, snapping shot after shot of maiden after maiden. I figured that I'd expose them on social media, create a Facebook page where others bedeviled by them could contribute. Then Gina got a hold of my phone one night and beat the shit out of me until I deleted every shot. "Pervert!" she screamed. "What am I, not good enough for you? You have to go around taking upskirt shots? You'll end up on the sex offender registry." "Those weren't upskirt shots," was my sad defense. "You don't think it's strange that I'm seeing women dressed in black everywhere I go, and they're always laughing like malfunctioning androids?" "You've caught your friend Morty's delusion," she said. "But you're a married man, not an incel. You don't have to view women as a hostile force. Keep this up, and we'll have to put you on some kind of antipsychotic medication." Naturally, I spoke no more of the Mirthful Maidens to Gina until I arrived home from grocery shopping one Saturday and found 6 of them in our living room. There my wife was, wineglass in hand, eyes twinkling with an imbibed cheer, delivering high school anecdotes as if hosting longtime friends. Around her, quite drinkless, were a half-dozen beauties in black blazer jackets and black slacks, belching their hideous laughter in bizarre synchrony. Noticing me, Gina cooed. "Oh, hello, honey. We have company today. Put those groceries away, pour yourself a soda, and come join us." On the way to the kitchen, ignoring the maiden's gaze, I paused to kiss my wife on the cheek, then whispered into her ear. "What the hell's going on?" "Be nice," she hissed back at me. Okay, I'll admit it. During my brief time in the kitchen, I thought about fleeing through the back door and hopping the fence after fence until I was at least 3 cities distant. My teeth were chattering. I was more goosebumps than man. My every small hair felt ready to launch from its follicle. But for all that I knew, my wife was in danger, so I slapped myself across the face a few times, did some deep breathing exercises, and returned to the most surreal, one-sided conversation that I've ever had. "Oh, you absolutely must try their scallops. They melt in your mouth," said Gina, scarcely audible over the grotesque laughter. "They make this blackened swordfish with Cajun butter, too. Oh my god, it is so good. That's why we ladies get married, isn't it? So that we can force our husbands to order food we want to try, then snatch bits of it off their plates without seeming gluttonous." Gina's always been talkative when in the right company, but this time she really outdid herself. With nary a lull, she segued from food to theater, then to reality television, then to traveling, then to the challenges of raising twin daughters. When she tried to draw me into the conversation, I nodded and mumbled nonsense, unable to hear so much as a syllable of my own utterances. I doubted that Gina even noticed. Whatever validation she acquired from the Mirthful Maidens' unending laughter had really galvanized her. If she didn't have to stop for a potty break, she'd have gone until her voice gave out. After my wife exited the room, I somehow found the courage to grab the nearest Mirthful Maiden by her shoulders. "What are you doing in my house?" I demanded. "Why have you been following me? Have you hypnotized my wife somehow? I mean, what the fuck?" Of course, the only answer that I received was more laughter. And so my temper overcame me, and I began to shake the woman. Her head violently rocked back and forth, and her mouth stretched all the wider. "Who are you people?" I hissed. "What are you?" Then most of her head, from the upper jaw up, spilled over her back like a slinky, revealing a vast chasm within her, from which indigo light spilled. I couldn't look away from it, even as I realized that the radiance was emanated by a substance that looked like moldy cream cheese, which shaped itself into a replication of poor doomed Morty's face and shrieked a shriek that couldn't be heard over the laughter. Time fell away from me then. When next I returned to my senses, I was reclining on the couch, with Gina pressing a wet rag to my forehead. My daughters were looming over me, too, biting their lips. Sitting up, I asked, "Are they gone?" "Are you gone?" replied Gina. "Those women you were talking to, did you see them leave?" "Women? What women? You must have been dreaming after you passed out. What happened there anyway? Did you drink enough water today? Let's get you on your feet and find you a doctor." It's been years since that day. Still, the Mirthful Maidens await me all across my city and beyond it. All the time, always laughing, always staring, in sunshine and pouring rain. Sometimes I sneer at those bitches, or raise my middle finger at them, but mostly I pretend as if I don't see them, just like everyone else does. My wife now goes to the gym with me, 5 days a week, bouncing from weights to cardio with ease, reclaiming her old hourglass figure. She's dyeing her hair black too, the same color it used to be. At least, I think she's dyeing it. Friends and strangers elbow me and tell me how lucky I am to have landed her. I wonder if they're right. My daughters are shedding their baby fat now, and acquiring the curves people covet. They no longer seem much interested in their phones, though. Sometimes when I'm dining with my 3 ladies, in my peripheral vision, one of their mouths seemed to widen more than it ought to. Sometimes when I crack dumb dad jokes, the 3 of them start laughing, and it seems that they'll never stop. And don't get me started on all the black clothes they've been buying. End of story. Once again, huge thanks to the author. Wouldn't have had anything to read if it wasn't for them writing something. And big props to them. Very entertaining story. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.